I go, there are very few places I feel truly at home, but there's one place for me that really does feel like home other than my birthplace, England, and that's here in America. I don't know if it's because the UK and the US share the same language or whether people are so welcoming or the so-called special relationship between our two respective countries. Whatever it is, I couldn't feel more welcomed and at home than here. And I know from the headlines and cases I've come across that millions already here and wanting to come here feel the same way. So today I want to talk about immigration. It's a sensitive issue for many in this country and beyond, but also one that's being tossed around Capitol Hill. But before I get into the bulk of the discussion, I want to point out that immigration is an issue that most young Americans have an opinion on. Most notably, immigration linked with jobs, economy, housing, and welfare. So, why is immigration such a hot topic? Well, for some, the obvious answer is America simply can't afford any more immigrants, legal or illegal or otherwise. Let's just park that thought there for one moment. Some would argue that immigrants become a burden on the state and therefore leads to an increase in welfare benefits and conversely taxes to pay for those benefits, etc., which hard-working citizens have to pay for. Another argument is immigrants coming to America and taking jobs from locals and citizens or people already here. Look, whatever your argument, there's clearly an issue surrounding immigration. So big that really no one single politician or leader, past or present, wants to tackle. That is, until now. Once again, I'll come to that in just a moment. But rather than cover the whole issue as it's huge and a complex one, I want to cover some of the key elements surrounding immigration relevant to the show's demographic. That's the 18 to 25-year-old. Firstly, the biggest issue for the majority of Americans on immigration, and if you believe the polls, is jobs. People are afraid that with unemployment at the level it is, services going overseas, and cheaper foreign goods being imported, the labour market has shrunk. So, the competition for jobs has grown even more. On the face of it, students leaving college are concerned that there simply aren't enough jobs to go around, let alone for them to secure when they graduate. Well, that's not strictly true. There are numerous studies done on this issue alone. According to the Brookings Institution, a study conducted in 2000 showed that in Silicon Valley, for example, 72,000 jobs were created by Chinese and Indian immigrant entrepreneurs, with sales totaling nearly $20 billion. So if anything, more jobs were created there. Now, whether some of us like it or not, there is a good case for loosening the rules and regulations on immigration, particularly those coming in from Mexico. Why? In one word, numbers. The economists among you will know about economies of scale. China and India both have it. By sheer population and mass, these countries are able to produce vast amounts of goods at the factory at a fraction of what we can here in the United States. And that's in bulk, large numbers. The only way we're going to compete is to increase the number of workers at factories as well. That way, we can level the competitive field and keep jobs in the United States, increase in economic wealth as we then start to export more goods and impact our balance of payments in favor of America, increase in taxation collection and lessen the burden on welfare payments. This would also lead to higher expenditure on goods and services, etc. But that aside, immigrants would do jobs seen by Americans as beneath them, such as manual labor or janitorial services. This would mean Americans would occupy better paid and more prestigious jobs which require qualifications, aka graduates. Now yes, of course we can argue with other facts and figures, but there's an overwhelming amount of evidence to suggest more, not less, jobs are available despite tighter immigration controls. Another argument concerning immigration is the cost to the American economy, directly and indirectly via welfare and social benefits. According to the Federal Reserve and its former chairman, Alan Greenspan, when this issue came up, it was estimated that the net benefit of immigration to the US economy was $10 billion annually. Plus, as many as 70% of workers arrived at a prime working age. On the flip side, according to anti-immigration groups such as the Federation for American Immigration Reform, it costs the US taxpayer more than $100 billion per year. The state of Arizona claims it costs them between $1.3 to $2.5 billion every year to deal with illegal immigrants through incarceration and education, as they're often the gateway for those coming across the border illegally. The IRS estimates that about 6 million unauthorized immigrants file individual income tax returns each year. Research reviewed by the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office indicates that between 50 to 75% of unauthorized immigrants pay federal, state, and local taxes. Illegal immigrants are estimated to pay about $7 billion per year into Social Security. In addition, they spend millions of dollars per year, which supports the US economy and helps to create new jobs. The Texas State Comptroller, for example, reported in 2006 that 1.4 million illegal immigrants in Texas alone added almost $18 billion to the state's budget and paid $1.2 billion in state services they used. So, based on those findings, you draw your own conclusions. My third and final point, and it's related to the economy, is that illegal immigrants are a burden on the American welfare system. Fact or fiction? According to the Center for Immigration Studies, estimated that the federal government spent some $26.3 billion on services for illegal immigrants back in 2002. Those immigrants paid about $16 billion in taxes, leaving us with a net cost of $10.4 billion. On the flip side, according to the American Immigration Lawyers Association, immigrants earned about $240 billion a year, paid $90 billion a year in taxes, and used about $5 billion in public benefits. In other part of the data, it's revealed that immigrant tax payments total $20 to $30 billion more than the amount of government services they use. One other report suggests that so-called illegal immigration population is estimated to add $500 billion to Social Security system in the next 20 years. In conclusion, and I'm going to go there, why not? And of course, let's be honest, this show is about being honest, blunt, direct, and stimulating debate. What everyone fails to understand is America is a young country, a country founded by immigrants who effectively conquered, settled, and displaced a race of people indigenous to America. Yep, I'm talking about native Indians. So it's fair to say you're all immigrants yourselves who settled here over more than 2 centuries. Can you truly, unless you're indigenous to a location, say that this is your home? The majority of Americans are a mixture of different European races. Your forefathers settled here just a little nearly 240 years ago. Do you really have a right to stake claim to a land you effectively took by force? Is it fair to forcefully occupy a land, claim it to be your own, and then rewrite the rules? So when the native Indians were displaced from their land, do we take the view, might is right? Now let's be clear. I'm not suggesting we allow mass migration of all people and races and say, sure, come along, our doors are wide open, anyone and everyone can come in. We want people to move to America in large numbers and settle down and prosper. Wait a minute, isn't that what your founding fathers said more than 237 years ago? And isn't that what the Statue of Liberty ironically says? So what's changed? Are we being hypocritical when on the one hand we extol the virtues of freedom, democracy and liberty, yet on the other say actually, well, when we say that we don't really mean it. It's just the image we want to give and portray and make everyone around the world see just how wonderful we are as a warm and welcoming nation. But really, we're bloody scared out of our wits because we're afraid that you'll do what we did to the native Indians, metaphorically speaking. The view that we managed to get the white man in and let those a few black ones loose because we had to after a bloody war and we've ended up where we are now. Oh, and sure, we let a few coloured folk in over the years because we can and we want to show just how amazing we are, blah, 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 blah. Now I know, and you know, America is the most powerful country in the world. It's by far the richest in many ways. And it's got there not by being exclusive, but inclusive, by embracing many different cultures, religions, nationalities, and people effectively from all walks of life. Many migrants have made valuable contributions to American society. I'm talking about Madeleine Albright, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Albert Einstein, Barack Obama. Just because someone's forefathers made it here more than 2 centuries ago and yours didn't, doesn't make it right to turn around and say, sorry, no room at the inn. And for the religious ones among you, you'll understand the symbolism of that statement. By the way, that baby born in a stable and turned away because became one of the most powerful and influential individuals in human history. So be careful to cut your nose to spite your face. You never know who you're saying no to. So now the politicians debate change, who's in and who's out. For now, it's a waiting game for millions of wannabe American citizens as they wait to hear their fate. Will those on Capitol Hill continue to embrace the one factor that has made this country so great, its citizens, or will they close the door to change, opportunity, modernization, and a new America? Once again, I'd very much like to hear from you. What do you think the administration or your elected officials should do on this subject? Or maybe there's something you've seen in the news that you'd like to talk about or have a really good rant. You can email me here on the show, that's spotlightamericatv@gmail.com, or directly at spotlightamericatv.com. But until next time, from me, Akhtar Khan, and the rest of the team here on the show, goodbye and thanks for watching.